The government slams the former administration for its management of the country's fiscal affairs as the budget debate opens in the Senate. Good evening, everyone. I'm Kishla Adderley, and welcome to the Bahamas Tonight, the National Report. The country's Attorney General says excessive spending by the former administration has severely impacted the new fiscal plan. His comments in the Senate as members contributed to the budget debate. Carla Palmer tells us that the Attorney General and Senate government leader recapped what he termed the PLP's mismanagement of funds.
In his budget communication in the upper chamber, government leader in the Senate, Attorney General the Honorable Carl Bethel, was highly critical of the former Progressive Liberal Party government for its spending habits, which included funds the government did not have.
Last year, the former government seems to have gone on a spending frenzy. They incurred financial obligations far in excess of the budgeted allocations, to the tune of more than $790 million over and above what had been budgeted. They issued contracts and spent money, like we say, like things was going out of style.
Senator Bethel says as a result, the PLP left this new administration with unpaid commitments totaling some $300 million.
And that is, bills that the incoming government must now pay just to bring the government current. Hence, Madam President, in this budget year, the Free National Movement government has been forced to borrow the unprecedented sum of more than $720 million. Imagine that, a whopping $722 million, right at the starting gate.
The government Senate leader says it's simply unbelievable, the rate and how much the PLP was spending money. He questioned a shortfall of $300 million, considering the PLP borrowed some $2 billion during this last term in office and collects $1.4 million a year in value-added tax. He says VAT was introduced in 2015 for the express purpose of slowing the rate of growth of the budget deficit with a view to decreasing the national debt, but this was not the case.
Prior to VAT, you're running up every year budget deficits of $500 million. You introduce VAT, and in the first year you get $700 million. Well, surely you should have $200 million surplus at the end of the day if you had restrained your spending, if the former government had maintained spending levels, if they had exercised fiscal discipline. There ought to have been, on that count, $200 million surplus on the recurrent budget every year.
PLP Senator the Honorable Michael Darville says the FNM government prior to 2012 basically did the same thing.
Upon coming to office in 2012, we met an economy riddled with debt, left behind by the Free National Movement. $200 million in overdraft, $100 million owed to local vendors, $50 million to civil servants, and a GSF deficit of $540 million. Yes, Madam President, the previous FNM administration left behind close to $1 billion in debt.
The debate continues. Carla Palmer, ZNS Network News.